Hello everybody, I'm Dove here from the Stade Amadou Ahidjo in Yaoundé, where we are doing the inaugural AfconMailbag, the quarterfinal between Cameroon and Gambia is almost upon us. But before the match kicks off, we're going to be answering some of your big questions, some of the pressing questions you, the goal readers, the goal community have sent over during this Nations Cup. So we're going to go through some of your questions one by one, just in the build-up to this match, get your juices flowing before it's time to get to the Stade Japoma in Douala to watch the hosts, the AFCON hosts, take on the Gambia, who have been one of the great success stories of this tournament so far. I'm here currently in Yaoundé at the Stade Ahidjo, where tomorrow we're going to see Senegal against Equatorial Guinea and we're going to see Morocco against Egypt. It promises to be a glorious day of AFCON action, but right now we are going to get down to your questions. So let's see what you've sent over. Now, I've not seen these questions beforehand, so I don't know what kind of things we're getting here. Goal's superb social team have prepared these questions for me, so I'm waiting to see what you've got for me. Question number one. Who do you think is the best team of the tournament so far and why? Well, the team that's impressed me the most from watching so far have been the Ivory Coast, because I love the balance of their midfield. I love the way that they bounced back from that setback against Sierra Leone. I love the way Nicolas Pepe had started coming into his own, and that combination of Gradel, Pepe, Haller, and Wilf Zaha, I thought had a real potential. So from what I saw from them at their best, they were the best team I'd seen. Obviously, I can't pick them anymore because they've gone home. So I'm going to say, at their absolute best, Cameroon in that second half against Ethiopia, they were just rampant. Collins Fire was giving them width, pace down the right flank. You had Choupo-Moting creating behind Abubakar. Abubakar was absolutely lethal. So I would say in that half, that was the best I saw from Cameroon. Overall, I'd probably say Morocco, because even though they've not been putting their chances away, they've been creating an awful lot of chances. Sofiane Boufal, Ashraf Hakimi, these guys are, just assist machines. If only the strikers could put them away. So I think it's Morocco. I'm backing Morocco to beat Egypt. And once Morocco actually start putting their chances away, I think we'll see a very complete team. I love the defence. I've got to give a mention to Senegal, who haven't actually conceded a goal all tournament yet. That's pretty impressive, but it's got to be Morocco for me. Now, Ams Junior, question number 2 in this AFCON inaugural AFCON mailbag. I'm going to try and do these every day now as the tournament goes on, because we're getting so many questions from the goal readers, and I want to go through them. I want to answer them. I want to see what you people are talking about, what you guys want to know about, the answers you want from here on the ground. Listen, this is not mystery hour. I may not be able to answer all of your questions, but I will certainly give it a go. Ams Jr., why not even a single player from the Cameroon team has no corona positive, but their opponents always have a positive test, with an exception of Ghana? It's a fair question. Obviously, this has given rise to some conspiracy theories that maybe Cameroon aren't playing it fair with the testing. They aren't exactly, there is maybe some shenanigans or some machinations going on that's giving Cameroon an advantage over everyone else. I would question whether it's not been made official. I think that maybe Cameroon centre-back Castelletto may have actually been corona positive for one of those games. He was wearing a mask when the other players weren't. There were claims of a neck strain, but I'm not entirely convinced that's the reason. I think one thing that other teams did, which hasn't really helped them, is that before the tournament, they went on preparatory camps, they went on training camps outside the country. They went to the Middle East, for example, or they went to, I think, Southern Europe for some teams. This meant more traveling, it meant more mixing with people, it meant that they were opening themselves more to the risk of coronavirus, whereas Cameroon were in their own country and there was much less travelling that went on before the tournament. Their pre-tournament training camp was cancelled, so they didn't have that possibility of picking up COVID there. Also, until now in Douala, they've always stayed in the same facilities, whereas other teams have moved around. So when you move around, when you change facilities, this gives rise to potential for COVID cases. So I think that could be another factor. I think also, there have been some suggestions that maybe after Comoros beat Ghana, for example, in that specific example, some of their players went out to celebrate understandably, what was a remarkable achievement for the country. And maybe there's a suggestion, there are rumours here, unverified rumours, I must add, that Comoros actually, to an extent, have themselves to blame for their coronavirus positive tests. But I think it's a combination of all those factors. And listen, the tournament, Cameroon still have maybe three games to go. So you never know. Maybe between now and the end of the tournament, they will fall foul of COVID-19 en route. Al Hassan Al Basri, how do you see my nation's performance, Gambia? Well, Al Hassan, I think Gambia have been maybe the darling of the Nations Cup. You could say Comoros because of what they had to go through with the goalkeeper and because it was they were in a very tough group, Comoros. But I would actually say what we've seen from Gambia has been more impressive. They didn't lose in the group stage. They beat Mauritania and they beat Tunisia again, having also troubled them in World Cup qualifying. They got the draw against Mali, all of them with late goals, all of them with late performances. They're so well organised. Credit has to go to Tom Sanfier. I think they could do something against Cameroon. I'm still giving the edge to the Indomitable Lions, but I don't think it'd be a huge surprise at all if, knowing how brittle the hosts can be, if Gambia were to spring a surprise there. And also they have a cutting edge. It's a really key thing. They've got a cutting edge in Moussa Barra, who's got 2 goals, 2 assists so far in 4 matches. That's an outstanding return. And with him cutting in from the left flank, so dangerous, I don't think you can write off Gambia from upsetting the hosts. And if they reach the semi-final, that would be incredible. You'd have to start talking about, maybe already, you can start talking about whether their performance rivals Zambia in 2012 as the greatest kind of AfCon fairy tale. Zambia obviously won it, which is a big difference, but I think there's a conversation to be had there. Right, final one for this first, the inaugural goal mailbag from Che Shilundu. What does goal make of the incident of a new rule that players should wait 5 days after testing positive to COVID-19 before they can feature, erupting just a few days to match days that saw Comoros play without an established goalkeeper, despite the goalkeeper having tested negative to COVID the day before match day? Was this fair at all? Very, very hard on this, because best case scenario, the communication has not been good enough around this new rule. The teams were unaware exactly of the new rule. That maybe, I think Comoros have to take some responsibility here, because whereas, for example, Tunisia, I understand, were aware of this rule for their game against Nigeria the night before, so they clearly had understood it and were aware of it. Comoros didn't get the memo, or didn't read the memo properly, or didn't seem to understand the memo properly. The rule to me initially seemed counterintuitive. That CAF had actually previously introduced 24-hour every test every 24 hours to make sure people didn't have to quarantine for longer than necessary. But actually, the rule is, to just clarify, the rule is that 5 days after a positive test, a player must take the additional medical tests, regardless of what they test in between, regardless of where they test positive or negative in between. And those additional tests are things like MRI, things like ECG, the additional kind of medical tests to check the heart performance. This is why Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang wasn't able to play, because even though he tested negative, he failed these tests. So the rule is that you have to wait 5 days after your first positive test before you can take these additional medical tests, and that's why the Comoros fell foul of that rule. Che, I think I have to do more reading on this. I want to speak to CAF, exactly get clarity about when that rule was given and exactly when the teams were informed, because certainly speaking to Comoros after their defeat by Cameroon, they were adamant that they were still in the right and that CAF were in the wrong. So there is a debate to be had there. Guys, it's been a pleasure hosting the first ever AFCON mailbag. There's going to be loads more of these happening over the final 2 weeks of the tournament, because there's so many talking points to come from what is proving to be an absolutely exceptional competition. Please keep sending your questions over. Tag GoalAFCON. There's loads of social posts about there, so you can easily find them. And enjoy Cameroon, Gambia. Please add in the comments, send over your predictions. I'd love to hear where the people are tipping the Scorpions for yet another big surprise in this Nations Cup.